Alaikum. How are you guys doing? How fantastic. Okay, so welcome to another conversation with myself. My name is Yusra Ishaq. I'm a health and fitness behavior change coach. I work with incredible women from all over the globe, helping them achieve their health and fitness goal. My passion in how I work is very, very different, right? Well, when I say health and nutrition coach, you most likely just think about the fitness component, the physical being and stuff like that. But my passion is very much, the merging of mental health, physical health, as well as spiritual health, because mind, body, and soul all work together. So my approach is very much through the lens of behavior change. So when I work with someone, I tend to kind of work with all areas of their lives. And then what we tend to see is we start to see this massive shift in their nutrition and their movement and all of these things, because now they have a much stronger foundation to start off with, right? Now, I've received this question recently, and the sister who messaged me wanted me to do a video about it. I personally responded to her. I had a bit of a conversation with her, but I thought, you know what? I am going to create a video on this and talk about this, because I'm pretty sure she's not struggling on her own around this, right? And this is the concept of support. Her question was, what do I do if my husband isn't supporting me, if he's not understanding me and all of these things, if he's not supportive of my mental health and well-being and all of these things. Now, before I move on, I want to make a disclaimer. Whatever I'm going to talk about, this is not to demean how it feels to not have support, right? Not having support is horrible. As humans, we are created to want to be supported by those around us and feel like we belong somewhere and feel accepted and all of these things. So whatever that I'm going to share here, this isn't to demean how low someone who's not supported can feel, because it's not nice, especially if it's coming from a close family member, especially if it's coming from your spouse or your siblings or your parents or whoever it may be. It is absolutely hard, right? It is so hard, subhanAllah, and may Allah grant all of us ease who are going through that, right? But the point of this video is to, inshallah, give you the tools that may help. I know the tools that have helped me at times when I didn't have support. I know these are the tools that I coach my clients around, right? Because like I said, so many of us, especially women, especially Muslim women, we live in homes that we may not necessarily be supported when it comes to our want and need to be physically healthy, mentally strong, and all of these things, because cultural conditioning plays a huge role, right? Now, this is not to demean that it feels awful, but this is to give you the tools to show you how you may be able to get through this. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now, the first thing is this. So there are three relationships that are important that we need to really work on building. And then the fourth part is very much going to help you maintain these three relationships, right? So the first thing is this. Let's understand this. No other relationship is going to work if our relationship with Allah is weak. Let's just get that straight up, right? Because Allah created us, and because He created us, He knows us best. Nobody knows us more than Allah knows us, not even ourselves. So surely, if He's testing us in some way, if He's testing you and me in some way, surely He's the only one who can provide the solution, right? Because He knows our strengths, He knows our weaknesses, He knows our likes, our dislikes, right? He knows the level of tolerance we have. He knows all of these things, right? So when we're being tested in some way, He is the one that we need to turn to, complain to Allah, cry to Him, understand His Quran, right? Increase the prayers, increase the du'as. He is the one that we need to be most connected to. SubhanAllah, when you're going through hard times, I don't know about you, but I know when I feel like I'm going through such a hard time, just sitting on top of my prayer mat and just crying to him automatically gives you this sense of relief, subhanAllah, right? It's almost like this burden is taken off of you and you suddenly, no one can give you the calm, the inner calm and relief the way Allah can. He's unlimited in his mercy. He's unlimited in his patience, unlimited in every possible sense of the word. So you want to get through a challenging time? You want to get through challenging relationships? The first relationship that we need to build is relationship with Allah. That's a non-negotiable, because what that does is it keeps you grounded, subhanallah, because you know what, no matter what is going on in my life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has my back. Can you imagine having that yaqeen, that certainty that no matter what I'm being tested with right now, there's a reason and that Allah has my back, right? And automatically what you get from that, you get a sense of patience. You tend to have more gratitude, right? Your taqwa increases, your level of tawakkul increases, your level of iman increases. And just that certainty of knowing I am going to be okay. Just that, subhanallah, can just change your experience of this test that Allah brings our way, right? So that's the first relationship that we need to build. We need to work on building. Nobody's perfect. Subhanallah, nobody's perfect, right? But we need to take a step forward as a first step to build that relationship with Allah. The second thing is my mama's relationship with ourselves. Subhanallah, the moment we become moms, the first relationship that goes out the window is with ourselves. True or false? Right? True or false? We start to neglect our physical health, we start to neglect our mental health, and we just focus everything, every inch of effort, every atom of effort goes towards our children and our husbands and ourselves. We're left with nothing. And then when we are being tested with these challenges, we can't work through them. We don't know what to do with them. What do? We expect others to compensate for what we lack, right? And now if your husband is not there the way you expect him to, like, oh, my husband doesn't support me. Now, this is again not to neglect or not to kind of encourage the fact that he's not supporting you. Of course, that's not nice. But guess what? It's not his responsibility to make you feel good about yourself every single time. It is yours, right? Allah entrusted his property, that is your body, that is his, that is not yours. My body is not mine, your body is not yours, that is his. He's just lending it to us. He entrusted the property. He didn't entrust that to your husband. He didn't trust your mind to your husband. No. He gave it to you and he gave it to me, right? Which means it is absolutely our responsibility to look after ourselves. Allah, I already said, he loves a strong believer more than a weak believer. The strength in iman, point number one, but also physical strength, mental resilience. It is up to us. But what do? The moment we have children and we have all these other responsibilities, we put ourselves last. And this is why the majority of us moms, especially those of us with so many competing responsibilities, have absolutely poor mental health, right? And we find it really hard when we're in challenging relationships to cope with those relationships. Again, I'm not saying it's easy, but they become more manageable. You become less broken when you're already strong. Let me try to put it that way. You become less broken when you're already mentally strong. You can cope with it more. And here's another thing. If Allah is testing you with something, right? If Allah tested you with, say, a husband who doesn't understand or support you, like I said, with kids who are just driving you mad, with health challenges, he's only testing you because he knows you can handle the test. He's already told us he's not going to test us with what we can't cope with, what we can handle. So if he's testing you, it's because he knows you can, right? Now it's entirely up to us to show up for those tests. So we have two choices. Are we going to show up for those tests so that we can build strength and resilience? Or are we going to play victims and blame our environment for our inabilities, for the lack of capacity, for our health, so for our weight, for our mental health, the lack of it, and all of these things? Because a lot of us, the excuses we make, oh, I don't have time, my husband doesn't support me, my kids keep me busy, my work keeps me busy, I have in-laws around, XYZ. Right. When I talk about health and nutrition and all of this, this is not for being a certain body size. It is beyond that. Our health and wellness is part of our deen, because not only is it going to help you in your physical health, it helps you in every other area of your life, including your deen. You are not praying 5 times a day the way you want to pray if you can hardly sit down and stand up. You are not going for Hajj if you can hardly walk for 5 minutes without feeling like death, right? 3 pillars of the 5 pillars of Islam require physical and mental resilience. So your health, the relationship with yourself, how do you talk to yourself, right? How much mercy do you have towards yourself? How much discipline do you have? Right? How are you looking after your body? How are you looking after your mind? What are you feeding your brain? Yeah, the crap that we watch on social media. What are you feeding your brain? That is going to impact your relationship with yourself. Right? Some of us know more about what's going on in the lives of celebrities than we know what's going on in the lives of our children. Someone can spend hours scrolling through social media, liking celebrity posts and stuff like that. SubhanAllah, come on, right? So work on yourself, because every experience that you have in life, the good, the bad, the easy, the hard, the highs and the lows, will come from you. You are the center of it all. You're the one who's going to go through all of that. It starts with you. So if you're broken in mental well-being, in physical well-being, how do you think you're going to be able to cope with all these other challenges that Allah is going to throw your way, whether through your marriage, whether through your siblings relationship, whether through your friendships, whether in business, whether with your children, your health? You're not going to be able to cope with it, right? The third thing is relationship with our family. We need to build relationships with our family. Now, here's a beautiful part about this. When you're working and you're building stronger relationships with Allah and with yourself, dealing with people becomes so much easier, right? Why? Because number one, you become more patient. You become a more patient human being. As humans, we lack patience, man. We want things like yesterday. If I want to lose weight, I would have lost weight like yesterday. Why is it taking me 6 months to lose weight? We don't like that, right? But when you're resilient, so number one, you're building a strong relationship with Allah. You're calm, you're grounded. Number two, you're strong in your body and in your mind. You can handle people so much better, right? You start to understand people a bit more. And here's the thing, when someone makes a comment, your husband example, you're working really hard, you're trying to look after your health, he comes home and he says, you're doing all of this, you haven't even lost a single kilo, you're just wasting time, right? Majority of people will be deflated by that. They'll feel bad and all of these things. And it is okay to feel. You want your husband to notice what you're doing, ultimately, right? Right? But when you're strong already, mentally, that comment is not going to slow you down, because you're going to understand this. You're going to understand that your husband's judgments and opinions, they're his own perceptions and nothing to do with you, right? We perceive things and we judge things and we comment about things based on our own experiences. It's about us, not about the person we're judging or talking about. It's not about that person. It's about you. So when you're already confident and secure and grounded in who you are and what your values are, people's comments, even if it's your husband, even if it's your parents, they're not going to impact you as much, because you're going to understand that, hey, this is from their own perceptions and their own experiences, right? And then here's another important thing. You're not going to react to it. Reaction is being moody, causing fights over what he said and all of these things. No. You're going to respond to it, right? Responding is going, okay, that's fine, but I know what I'm doing is working for me. Khalas, it ends there. Responding you is knowing what you're doing is for yourself and for Allah, and it's working. Responding is not allowing people's comments and judgments to impact your mood, right? Responding is not allowing people's judgments to impact your ability to look after yourself. That is responding. So when you're grounded in yourself, you're able to respond what's happening in the environment around you, in the relationships around you. How many of us, we go to weddings as an example. Someone says, you've gained weight. Then we spend the next 2 days binge eating because we feel bad about the person who said we've gained weight. And then after we binge eat, we then go for another week not eating anything because now we are freaking out. We are too heavy, right? So the binge eating is to make us feel better about the comment that person sort of kind of mentioned about us. And then now we're going, oh my God, I have gained weight. Now you go on this restrictive diet to lose weight because someone said you've gained weight. So you find yourself in this forever cycle of restriction, binging, or restriction, binging. How many of us have experienced that? Why? Because we've allowed people's opinions and judgments of you to get into your head. Why? Because you're not secure within yourself. So the only way for you to build strong relationships with others is by first building a strong relationship with yourself. And the way for you to build a strong relationship with yourself is by first building a strong relationship with Allah. There's no way around that. There's a reason why people have millions and billions, but guess what? They're miserable. They're miserable. Why? Because most of them don't have a relationship with Allah. Most of them, they're broken inside. Most of them, they're insecure inside. And that money, the fame, the cars cannot fill that hole that's missing. And that is a sense of meaning and a sense of purpose. And that's what being a Muslim gives us. It gives us a sense of purpose. I know I'm in this dunya to be the slave of Allah. I'm in this dunya because Allah is going to test me. And every test that Allah gives me, and I pass it, it increases my rank. It washes away my sins. Now, can you imagine when we're being given a test to come from that angle? But you can't come from that angle if you're not mentally strong. You can't come from that angle if you don't have a strong relationship with Allah. Right? So this is where the intersection between mind, body, and soul meet. You can't have one without the other. They all feed into each other, right? And they all come from one huge foundation. And for Muslims, that's our deen. Like a religion, subhanAllah, our deen hasn't stopped us from being able to achieve anything. Like, did you know that the first Muslim nurse was a woman? The time of the Prophet ﷺ was a woman, and she's the one who treated wounded soldiers in battle. A woman nurse. They made a tent for her at the mosque to treat people. But in the Western world, smart women, intelligent women, they were labeled as witches and were killed. Subhanallah. Yeah. The first businesswoman was who? Bibi Khadija. Radiallahu anha, subhanallah. Businesswoman, right? Just because we're women and we're Muslim, it doesn't mean we can't be productive members of society. It doesn't mean we can't have a purpose. It doesn't mean we can't look after physical health and mental health. It is important, because if we are the pillars of society, right? If we have so many responsibilities, whether in home or out of home, then surely we should be the biggest priorities, right? So why do we keep putting ourselves in the back burner? Why do we keep allowing other people to validate us? Our husbands and friends, why do we need them to validate us when Allah has already honored us, right? But again, you will only feel that way if you're already strong within yourself, if you're already secure within yourself. So number one, build a strong relationship with Allah. Number two, build a strong relationship with yourself. That is absolutely key. Number three, build a strong relationship with others, with those around you. But like I said, you can only do number three if you got to number one and two. Because when you're strong internally and the others start to see you as a different person, subhanAllah, you start to respond to them as opposed to reacting automatically. It's incredible how they start to treat you in a different way as well. Have you noticed that? Yeah. So automatically you start to hold space for your children, you start to hold space for your husband, his comments stop bothering and impacting you as much, you start to become more patient, right? And of course, there are other relationships when there's abuse and stuff like that. Those are not what I'm talking about. They're not the ones I'm talking about. I'm purely talking about expecting our spouses, right, to be the people who improve our mental health. That's not their responsibility. I am sorry, they're not. They're ours. Our mental health, our physical health is our responsibilities. It's not theirs, right? The fourth thing, which is very important, surrounding yourself with the right people. I cannot emphasize this enough. Surrounding yourself with the right people can be an absolute game changer. Because if you're in a group that encourage you to strengthen 1, 2, 3, constantly reminding you, because this is the thing, we're humans, right? And we hear our own thoughts very loud, and we tend to believe our thoughts because they're ours. Do you know what I mean? Right? And when we're going through a challenging time, and if the only voice that we are hearing is ours, it becomes really hard to get out of that, the victim mentality becomes really hard, because some challenges and tests are hard. But when you have other people's voices saying, you've got this, you can do this, Allah has your back, subhanAllah, it can really get you out of that hole, and you become stronger and more resilient, and that your self-belief increases purely because other people believe in you. Right? So be mindful of the environment that you surround yourself. If you want to be mentally and physically fit, right? Be in environments that encourage mental and physical fitness. If you want to increase your iman and closeness to Allah, be in an environment that encourages that, right? As I said, if you're in a group of 5 drug dealers, chances are you're going to be number 6. You can't want to stay warm, but live in the fridge. Sorry, it doesn't work. You're going to get cold eventually. You're going to get cold eventually, right? So if you want to build that strength with Allah, if you want to build strength, build a better relationship with yourself, if you want to build a better relationship with those others around you, be in an environment that encourages these things. But what do? We spend our time looking at, a couple goes on social media, we spend time comparing other people's bodies with ours, and what that does, it makes us feel worthless and incapable. We look at posts of someone shouting about how they made 6 figures, and we look at ourselves, oh, I'm only making 5 figures a month, which makes us actually forget all the other blessing that Allah has given us. The fact that you can even see is a blessing. The fact that you even have a phone is a blessing. The fact that you even have roof over your head is a blessing. The fact that you can even speak is a blessing. But no. We get down and we play the victim. Why? Because I didn't make 5 figures this month, right? Why? Because we end up constantly comparing ourselves with others, constantly feeding ourselves crap, right? All it does is it hardens our hearts. So put yourself in environments that is encouraging, an environment that's going to make you grow, an environment that's going to make you flourish. As a mother, as a Muslimah, as a woman, right? In all the ways. So I hope this was helpful. Honestly, subhanallah, honestly, like I've been blessed. I've been blessed to be talking to a lot of women every single day, subhanallah. And I can tell you, hand on heart, the 2 problems that I see every single time, which leads to the unhealthy practices, the overeating, the weight gain, and all of these things, is the lack of our closeness to Allah and the poor relationship with ourselves. Poor relationship with ourselves. When you can hack these, when you can make this stronger, I promise you, because here's the thing, if you trust and believe that your body is a manna, right, from Allah, and you believe that Allah is going to ask you about it one day, it's going to say, hey, Yusra, I trusted my property to you. I gave it to you, right? You could see, you could sit, you could stand, you could talk, you could smile, you could smell, you could do all of these things. I gave you a mind that is, subhanallah, is incredible beyond anything, right? What did you do with it? What did you do with the body? How did you look after it? What did you do with that mind? How did you use it? How did you feed it? Right? If you're close to Allah and you fear that question, are you going to be the one who neglects her exercises? Right? Are you going to be the one who neglects her nutrition and just eats crap all day purely because, right? Are you? Now, I'm not saying things like binge eating disorders and all. These are real disorders. These are hard stuff, right? Absolutely. It's psychological, it's challenging. But when you're close to Allah, you're going to want to put effort in working towards these. This is all we're talking about, effort. Nobody's talking about perfection here. I don't exercise every day, right? I don't eat healthy every single meal, and that is okay. Because it's a balance, right? It's a balance. Islam teaches us balance, right? But I create that balance because I understand the importance of me looking after my body and soul. Because when I'm fit and I'm healthy and I'm strong physically and mentally, I'm a better Muslimah. I can perform my acts of worship in a better way. I can respond to my children in a better way. I can have a better relationship with my husband and my parents and my siblings, because I'm not annoyed all the time, because I'm not sensitive all the time, because I'm not allowing other people's moods to impact me all the time. So can you see how that plays out? Most of our issues in this day and age, most our health issues this day and age stem from the lack of mental resilience, stem from the lack of physical strength, stem from this need of, I want results yesterday, lack of patience, absolutely, this need for instant gratification. And that is a problem. That is a problem that we have. Right? But when you can slow down and truly build this true relationship, wallahi, everything in life, every challenge Allah throws your way, you can handle. Even if you end up with diabetes, you'll still be able to handle it so much better than someone who wasn't strong in iman, in mental strength, in the physical strength. Used to be able to handle it so much better. So please work on those 4 things, inshallah. Okay, talk to you soon. Assalamu alaikum.